Mueller's work is done, and yet the other thing we learn in this report is that several big, interesting investigations are ongoing. The report identifying 14 referrals to other offices, Michael Cohen and former Obama White House counsel Greg Craig, the only ones that are actually revealed. The question of obstruction remains open, as the Mueller report is explicit that it's up to Congress to potentially decide what matters should be dealt with when it comes to a sitting president. Quote, with respect to whether the president can be found to have obstructed justice, we concluded that the Congress has the authority to prohibit a president's corrupt use of his authority in order to protect the integrity of the administration of justice. Translation, the defense that you've heard from the likes of Barr and that you've heard from the likes of Rudy Giuliani, that obstruction itself is actually impossible. Mueller, again, if you think he acts deliberately, he chose to put in writing what we have tonight for the first time ever. He completely disagrees, and he shows his work why. With that in mind, I turn now first to U.S. Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut, who serves on the Judiciary Committee. And after we speak in a little bit of a colloquy, we will add in Bob Mueller's former Chief of Staff, John Carlin. First of all, Senator, on a busy night, thanks for coming on the beat.
Thank you.
When you look at that, what is Mueller trying to say in your view, and did Mr. Barr handle this properly?
Mueller is trying to say to Congress, you should do your job, hold the president accountable, because I have given you a sweeping, systematic story of criminal wrongdoing. And where I part ways with Mueller, perhaps, and I want to ask him about it when he comes before the Senate Judiciary Committee, is the decision not to subpoena the president. I understand it may have taken additional time, but I think that those answers, the I don't recalls, go directly to criminal intent, which can be established only if there is a give and take of questioning.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.